Good afternoon. Is a beautiful Sunday afternoon here. Beautiful service we had this morning. We have a new preacher. It was wonderful. Really good insight of what he preached today. And you felt such a movement of God in our church today. It was really awesome. And we had a Bible study last night because we have Bible studies here on Saturdays with our family at 6:30 on Saturday nights. And it was my turn to study the Word and present it. And so I did it on Song of Songs. Well, here lately, there's been like a longing or an aching inside of me that has been really hard on me here lately. And I don't know what it is. It's just something that comes up. And we just have to deal with it. And then the enemy comes in and tries to say, you're not loved. You're not this. You're not that. So God pointed me to Song of Songs. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful, poetic. Y'all know me. I love poetry. I love poetic stuff. So, really dove down into it and read it. And I thought, okay, God, I will read it and we will study it. And so I read it. And as I was reading it, God pointed so much out to me that He showed me that it's not just a book about marriage and sex and so if you have little kids watching this, bleep that part out about the sex. They don't even know anything about that till they're married. Uh, so he showed me so much in this, and I don't know why preachers don't preach out of this book. There is so much and a longing and desire for God that shapes into us and into this book, and we wonder why we feel such a love rejection. We wonder why we feel all these stuff that with love. And what was so great was the woman was the one doing the most talking, and the man barely talked, and. But that also showed me that it was a representation of how we are with God. We have so much that we come to Him and that we speak to Him with. And God, He is so powerful. He's only there with few words. And it's so great how He can just so powerful and do that. And so Song of Songs wraps itself around that. Some people say it was Solomon. Some people say it was a shepherd or a herdsman. I think it was Solomon because he talked in there about concubines and stuff like that. And because I thought it was a fun passage because it said he told her pretty much she was the only one. She was a different one. How many times we heard that? And so I just think that I think it was Solomon, but I guess one day we'll really truly know who it was. But the woman was if I can say it right, a Shalamonite woman. I don't know. I probably said it wrong and I probably just butchered the whole thing. But that's who it was that was speaking, and she had her friends too. And it was, they were, from my understanding, they were getting married. And anybody can correct me on this, but this is just what I got out of it. And I did look up commentary and stuff, but I didn't search for the history, and I didn't search for that. I searched for what God gave me in this, and He was showing me on top of the things that I longed for and the things that in my heart that I was feeling, the rejection, the betrayal, the thinking of other things that I shouldn't be thinking of, and all that He showed me through all this in this book of Song of Songs or Song of Solomon, however it is in your Bible. I encourage you to read that. And I'm sorry about the birds back here. There's like a bunch of birds in this tree, and they stop all of a sudden and they start back. So I guess they got a lot to say too. But I love nature anyway, so they don't bother me. So I'm sorry if they do bother you. But it's just God's beauty talking back there. But it showed me all the stuff that in my heart that I was feeling, and stuff that I need to be on the ground, and I need to be on my knees, and I need to be praying to Him and worshiping Him through all this anguish and stuff. And so I'm going to tell you a few verses that kind of stuck out to me. And so I'm trying to make this, you know me, I try to make it short as I can, but it just happens to be a little bit longer. And beautiful outside here today. Wish I could have done it in the morning time where the sunrise was, but the sunset's over there. Can't too much go back there because my chickens will be all around me and they love to get up on things and all that. Well, I guess it would have been therapeutic with them. But we're going to get into it. So a few things and I just wanted to kind of point out. I don't really know where to start because like there was several verses in this that point out to me we go through so much in our lives and we may not understand. That was a spider. We may not understand why we go through these things, and but we have an aching and a desire, and every time we get hurt, it's right here, right? It hurts here because this is the most important. What pours out of us comes from the heart. um, so God is centered around this here, and He wants to know that we are loved. So let me just start by being a little honest with y'all. And I've got my notes up here and I got them down here. So if I lose, I got them on my laptop and here. So in case I lose my spot, because this thing here, the teleprompter sometimes goes too fast for me. And then I have to kind of put my hand up here and slow it down. Because I don't want to try to ramble so much. I want you guys to really get the feel of what this book is about. It's not just about sex. It's about a love between a man and a woman, and it's also about the love that we long for from Christ, and it's also about what He loves us and that He's here for us whenever we are far from Him. And so I want to start, that here's the thing. I've been sitting through this book, and it has both comforted me, and it also pretty much has comforted me. I'm going to try to put this on play, see if it'll not go too fast for me. But it also has cut me wide open, because when I read about this woman and this woman's words and her longing and her bruises and her searching in the night, I thought, man, that's me. How many times, we're going to stop it, how many times do we stay up in the middle of the night and our hearts are broken? We might have gotten rejected that day. We might not have got invited to the cookout, or we might not have done, or our husbands might have cheated on us, or our friends might have betrayed us, or just anything that day that we felt like we were rejected by, and we have that longing. And so in those places we get bruised, and so we feel that ache, and we stay up half the night wondering why, or was there something I could have said, and we just beat ourselves up for it. So in Song of Psalms, we have the ache of longing is what I came up with the first one. And so, and she says in the Song of Songs in 3:1, on my bed day and night I sought Him whom my soul loves, and I sought Him, but I did not find Him. And I had to pause there, because there are nights that we've all felt like that. The nights where your body is tired and your heart won't let you rest. And it's where your mind is chasing something or someone who feels just out of reach. Wow, that is what we do. We chase after worldly things so much. And when we get rejected by those worldly things, whether it be somebody that you really have a crush on, somebody that you really love, or your husband that's not paying you no attention, or and you're searching for this, and it just hurts deep inside. And but she didn't find him. She did not find him. And that's the way we are sometimes. We search for those worldly things instead of searching for the one person that can help us with these worldly things. And we want to chase those things. So when we chase them things, we don't find comfort in that. We don't find comfort in any of that we do in this world. There's only one way that we can find the comfort. So, even I've known that longing, and maybe you have too, and longing that makes you restless, makes you write words you never speak, makes you ache for connection so deep that it almost hurts. So, there again, we long for relationships. We long to have physical relationships. We think that we should be married. We think that we should have this kind of love, this physical love, and all the while God is calling you to His love. And so that's the revelation that God gave me, is that longing itself, guys, is not a sin. You can long for those things, and but longing only shows that we were created for love. We are so created. Even Jesus tells us that he did not come to change the commandments, but he came to love. So I kind of paraphrase that. So he came for love. Jesus shows us love, and that's what we should show. It only shows that all through the Bible, Jesus shows love to us, and he shows love to his people, even when they did wrong, and even he still loved his people, and he loves me and you too. And so, but we, in that we are created for love, and also for connection and for intimacy. And so we long for those things, to be connected with people. We long for the intimacy um, between our spouses, our friends, and it's not the kind of intimacy when they're friends that I'm going towards for like sex or anything. It's that intimacy of being able to let yourself go, to be able to tell people how you feel inside here. And so, and the truth is that even the deepest human longing is just a shadow pointing us back to him. So everything points back to God. And so, and this is what Psalms 42 says. And I love this because I did this in one of my Sunday school classes whenever we were going through the Psalms. And it says, as a deer pants for streams of water, so my soul pants for you, oh God. So that was one of the Psalms that we went over. So here's the thing, water, like right now, me talking, I am so thirsty. It is hot out here. And so that deer pants for that water when they're thirsty. And that's the way our soul is when we're longing for something. We just want it to go away. We want it to do. But when we find that water, which is Jesus, then that goes away. And we feel a little more connected. And God brings out the inner parts of us that we can go to him. And if we're thirsty, we can quench that thirst. And because he loves us that much. So then the second thing that I found from here is the wounds of love. So the wounds of love. So in Song of Songs, or Solomon 5:7, the Shunammite woman says, the watchmen found me. They made their rounds in the city. They beat me and they bruised me and they took away my cloak. So I had to reread that because here I am going through this whole book and I look at it and it's like such love stuff like this. And she goes to the door and she goes to the door and she hesitates a bit, She hesitates, and when she hesitates, she finally goes up to the door. She opens it, he's gone. And so when he's gone, then she goes out into the streets and she looks for him. Now, that's not the first time that she went out into the streets. She also went on the streets before looking for him, and the watchmen were there. But this time, they beat her, they bruised her, and in the city, and they took away her cloak. So when I got to looking at the commentary, I was like, this just doesn't make sense, God. What are you trying to show me? So when I looked at a commentary about it, it was pretty much showing me that she was dreaming she was in her dream state because it says she was in her bed and she was dreaming about this. So, in other words, she was wrestling in her soul about her love and and she hesitated. And that is the way it is with us and God. When we are not in alignment with God, we feel bruised, we feel beaten, we feel, and I mean, it is a struggle. It is a struggle when we are living in sin and you are a child of God. You struggle and you long for something and you just get beat up every night because you know that you're living in sin and you know that you got to get out of it, right? So we get beat up in all this and it's just horrible. And it's a horrible feeling until we can come to him. So she goes to the door. She hesitates because sometimes we hesitate when we want to come to Christ because we think to ourselves that Christ does not know everything, right? We hide those parts. If I said that right, we hide those parts inside here and we don't want to bring them out. We don't even want to bring them out to God. So she hesitated. And when she hesitated, he was gone. And then she got beat. So she went looking. She went looking some more for him, and she did not find him. And that's a lot of way we are. It's not that God leaves us or anything. He's always there. Even in the moments where you don't feel like he's there, you're the one the reason why he's not there. You're the one pushing him away. He's always around, and he's ready to love you and bring you back into alignment with him. So, sometimes love doesn't just lift us up, but it also bruises us, and not always because of what someone does, but because of the weight of the ache itself, the confusion and the silence and the missed moments. So a lot of times we get those missed moments, like when she went to the door and he was gone, a missed moments. You ever been in church and you feel the pull and the movement of God and everything, and you're aching and you're nervous and you're just shaking everywhere. And then all of a sudden it's like invitation time, and you know that you have to go up there and all that. But then the moment passes and then the song is over. But you know what? It's a missed moment. And it doesn't mean that you can't recover from that missed moment, because there was somebody that was really feeling the ache of going up, and they came to me and they said, and I said, I could see that you wanted to do it, right? And he was like, yeah, I really did. I wanted to go up there. I wanted to talk. He said, but I didn't know. I hesitated. Did I commit a sin? And I said, well, here's the thing. You don't quench the Holy Spirit, but it's fine, because it's not over yet. The preacher's right there in front of you. God has brought that preacher in front of you, and he's standing right here. If you want to go talk to him about the way you're feeling, go. Oh, no. Missed opportunities. Finally, he did. I said, there it is. Go talk to him. If you feel that pull and you want to understand the pull of what you're feeling, go talk to him. So he did talk to him. And when he talked to him, he felt great. So that's just like one of those pulls. And he made sure that missed moment was not a missed moment. And so, guys, don't miss those moments. If you feel the tug of God telling you to get down on your knees, telling you to say amen, telling you to, to do something, do it, because the hand of God is on you, and he is going to be with you, and he's going to take your hand, and he's going to move up there. If you're worried about what other people say, don't. I remember one time I went up because I felt like I needed to rededicate my life and everything. And I remember somebody in the church said, oh, I thought she was already saved. I was like, I am. But sometimes we feel that, sometimes that doubt, and sometimes we just need a little reassurance, right? And I didn't want to miss that opportunity to do that. So don't miss the opportunity. So some of you know exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about that stuff. You have been bruised also by love, and you've been bruised by betrayal, and you've been bruised by the absent, by the one you thought would always be there. And those bruises don't always show on your skin, but they live deep in your soul. And they live deep in your soul so much that the next person, or the person, if they come back, don't get a fair share because you keep thinking of that. But if you would lay it down at God's feet, if you wanted to be with that person again and you lay it down on God's feet, then you need to learn to forgive, right? So we need to learn to forgiveness. And you can help with those bruises that live deep in your soul. You can talk to people, talk to God. You can do all those things to get that and help you with what you're dealing with. So just remember that. I know they live deep in your soul. There's things in my soul that live very deep, and the enemy likes to bring it out. And if I dwell on it, and it's my fault, the enemy just comes over here and tries to be all, hey, guess this. And then it's my fault because I dwell on it, right? So we need to make sure that those things that are deep in our soul, we need to deal with them. We need to deal with them on a level that we can maintain that hurt and give it to God, because God is the only way that we're going to be able to do it and to talk to somebody. So just hear me. God knows the pain. Jesus himself was wounded in the house of his friends, Zechariah 13:6. He was betrayed and he was abandoned, but he knows what it is to love and to hurt because of it. So, moving on, the beauty of being seen. We always don't get seen, right? But we want to be. And then in the middle of all this ache, her beloved turns and says in Song of Songs, You are altogether beautiful, my darling. There is no flaw in you. So me on a physical level was like, how many times has a man told us that here goes this man that's got 60, at the time it says, I think it said 60 concubines or something in there. Don't quote me on, but it's in there. He talks about how many concubines he has. And I'm like, and you thinking that I'm altogether beautiful and that there's no flaw in me and I'm the only one. How many times have we heard that? You've had 60 people and that's what, so my mind is doing that, and that, but that's the way Jesus sees us, even after all that little comment in my head and stuff, because I'm real. I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking, because I'm human. I'm human, and so, but Jesus sees no flaws in us. He sees us white. No matter what we do, no matter how far we've gone, Jesus sees us with no sin. So listen to that. You are altogether beautiful, my darling. There is no flaw in you. And so after the bruises and after the missed moments, he still looks at her and he calls her flawless. So God can whisper to you, that's how I see you. And that's how he sees you, even through your divided thoughts, even with your restless nights, even with your bruises. And in Christ, you are covered and you are spotless and you are loved. And boy, did that undid me, because we don't always feel flawless. We feel fractured. But in him, we are whole. So another one that I said is the warning of a divided love. So in this divided love, I asked the question of, I have questions all the time. I have more questions. In this divided love, what I'm trying to get at in here is the fact that I thought, how in the world can somebody that has all these wives and all these concubines, and we got a book in the Bible here, and how is this not a sin that he's trying to marry somebody else when he has all these concubines and stuff? And so, but then again, I was shown that there's a lot of tension in Song of Songs, gives us this picture. So it gives us the picture of pure, if I say exclusive love. But Solomon, the one who credited it with writing it, because this is one that says they feel like they're credited, so that's what I think it is, didn't live that way. He was supposed to marry one woman. But Solomon's downfall, as we all know, was women. And he ended up going for the other gods, and God was angry with him. So in all this, he in 1 King 11 tells us that he had 700 wives and 300 concubines. I don't know what my husband would do if he had 700. I'm enough for 700. I think I have enough personalities for the 700 and the 300 concubines for him. I don't think he would dare bring somebody else home. And but his heart was pulled away from God because of it, and he lived divided. And isn't that the danger that we all face? We get here and we want to live in the world with sin, and we don't want to follow Jesus fully. We're like, oh yeah, I'm a Christian. I go to church, I read the Bible. So as we finish off on the other one that I had, for some reason, like, it cut off. So I guess I'm just going to have to put these separate and say this is part 2, I guess. But what I was saying is that when our love is divided between God and other things, between truth and temptations, our heart gets weakened. So in Psalms 86:11 becomes our prayer. Give me an undivided heart that I may fear your name. So that was pretty much David's prayer to him when in those Psalms. And that is what happens whenever we want to go for the world, but yet we want to follow Christ. We have to follow Christ fully, not just half-heartedly. And we need to read his word, and we need to read his word, study his word, and we need to get to know him. That's all Jesus wants. He wants us to love him. He wants us to know him. And how do we get to know him? We get to know him through the word, through prayer, through a lot of things. And that's exactly how we get to know him. A relationship. When you met your spouse, You wanted to know everything about them. You wanted them so close. You wanted them to be so close to you and love you and all that. So what did you do? You got to know them. You asked questions. You did all this. And sometimes you get angry with them because things don't go your way or they don't give you what you want, right? So that's okay. God's okay with you being angry. You can talk to him about it. Now, do I say just curse God? No, that's not the kind of talking I'm talking about that you do with him. You come to him with a sincere heart and you say, God, I want to follow you, but this sin is in my life. I'm angry with this. I'm angry with how my life went. So we don't want to have a divided love for God. And in that, and that is, that's the question I had about Solomon, because there's a lot of stuff that, I didn't understand in the Bible of how can all these men have all these women, but yet when a woman does something that's not, that's kind of adulterous, she gets killed, right? And so, but women mainly back then were there for the lineages, and so what the commentary told me was that pretty much the what would happen is if that woman would go off, then that woman's child would come back into the family, and that wouldn't be the lineage of that man. And I was just like, okay, you know. But plus, women back then was not a like high up. We have women. We're like women's rights. I wasn't there when women's rights were, but we have all these women rights now. But we still have to learn that we have a place, and that place is next to our husband. So there's a lot of stuff in the Bible that talks about that where women should be not, we should be like not heard and all that stuff. We are a helpmate to our husbands. I am his and he is mine. I own his body. He owns my body. It's a whole 100% with each other, right? My job is to listen to him, and we make decisions together. He is the head of my household. And now, do I meek up and be like, oh, yes, sir? I'm sure he would love for me to do that, but I don't. We both have an opinion in this marriage, and we both agree on things. But he is the main agreeer. If he feels in his heart that something is not right, and he has that discernment, he has the right to say, we're not doing this, Kendra. And and then I'll say, much as I want to fight him, and sometimes I do, I have to stop and say there's a reason for it. And all that. There was one time that he was, no, Gage is not going here. Gage is going with us. If I would not have listened to him, Gage would have not got saved that night, received the Holy Spirit, and all that stuff. So if I would have listened to him, Gage would have missed out on that opportunity where he was on his face worshiping God that night when we got back from a retreat. So that was a really awesome. So that right there made me say, yes, yes, Lord, I hear you, Lord, and everything. So I encourage you, don't fight over stuff like that. Don't be divided. Know the discernment with each other. Know that you can connect with each other, because that's where you're bonded with, right? And that's where we're bonded with Christ too. So another thing is the greater love. Song of Songs ends with it in chapter 8. Oh, I encourage y'all to read this, saying, love is as strong as death. Its jealousy unyielding as the grave. Many waters and there goes the waters, cannot quench love. No matter how thirsty you are or whatever, waters, many things outside of God cannot quench this love. Cannot, only God can quench your thirst. And so, and that's even when he told the woman at the well, right? And that's what we preached, I think, last time? So, quench. God uses the water, because we know if we're that thirsty, we need a drink. And that's how we need Jesus. And so that's bigger than any human romance. That is prophecy, y'all. That's pointing us to Christ, the bridegroom, whose love is stronger than death, and who went into the grave for us, and whose resurrection proved that his love is unquenchable. So yes, we've all known the ache. I've known the ache. I've known the bruises. I've wrestled along just like everybody else, betrayal and divided love. But I've also seen the revelation that Every ache points me to Jesus. Every bruise makes me cling to his healing. And every taste of true love is just a glimpse of his eternal love that will never walk away. Remember that. When we fully follow him, that quench goes away. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to have temptations. It is all about if you dwell on those temptations. And when you dwell on them temptations, when you dwell on that sin, then I'm going to tell you, because let me tell you something, it's not always the enemy's fault. Yeah, he's slick. He can make you think things. He's very, very, very watchful of what you're doing. But let me tell you something. It is up to you whether or not you're going to say yes, and you're going to invite that sin in, and you're going to invite that in. So we have to be strong in the Lord. And in order to be strong in the Lord, let me tell y'all something. So in order to be strong in the Lord, guess what? See these words? These words is what makes us strong. I have been dealing with an ache for a few months and not knowing what it is or anything, and it's been killing me. And so finally, I said, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to start bringing my Bible, and I'm going to start reading Psalms every time right before I do a different exercise. And since I've been doing that, God has just been like all up in my life. And all up in, well, he's already in my life, but all up in my soul and stirring it and showing me ways that, Kendra, I am the only thing that can cure that ache. I want you to put that ache and that longing, and I want you to put it in me. And that's exactly what I've been doing. And I have been so much better. Now, it doesn't happen overnight. So just keep going. So I want to ask you tonight, and I want you to write these questions down. Where are you restless with longing? Think about it. Where are you carrying bruises that no one else sees? And where is your heart divided? So I want you to bring it to him, because he's not scared of your ache, and he's not ashamed for your longing. He's not dismissive of all these bruises. He's the only one who can redeem them. And here with, maybe if I had a coffee cooler or something, because at the time I was doing it and we were outside, but watching the steam disappear with the coffee, the way people do when they stay too long, it's funny how we can even a cup teach us the warmth that doesn't last forever unless you're ready to refill.